So we've got Dangote Refinery and the NNPC Port Harcourt Refinery are scheduled to start the production of petrol in the month of September, starting on Saturday. After months and months of planning investments, including some wranglings at some point, the whole world is looking to see if Nigeria is finally at the doorsteps of winding down its unprofitable exercise of petrol imports. Speaking to me on this now on the show is Kelvin, Emmanuel, an economist and a public policy analyst. Thank you so much for coming this evening. We appreciate it. Do you think all is set for between Dangote Refinery and NNPC Port Harcourt Refinery towards local production of petrol? Are we set to go? Are we good to go?
I can vouch for Dangote. I cannot vouch for NNPC because Dangote has shown over the years that he is to be trusted. He said he was going to build the refinery in Lagos, and it's a reality today. If we go back memory lane in 2006, he bidded for Port Harcourt Refinery for $500 million. He won the bid. It was reversed in 2007 when late President Umar Yar'Adua took over, and the Blue Star Consortium fell apart. And then the dream to build the Lekki Refinery came, and today it's a reality. The NNPC within the same intervening period has spent about 12 trillion naira, and so far has not come to commissioning and the NMDPRA process of getting the refinery started. So I can vouch for Dangote that they will start production of higher distillates like premium motor spirit. I can't vouch for NNPC.
In terms of what are we looking at in September? What's the expectation out of Dangote Refinery, and what's the NNPC Port Harcourt Refinery? What do they have on the table in terms of estimates of what to expect as petrol products liters per day that should be out?
Well, at full capacity utilization, if Port Harcourt comes on stream, and that's a big if, is supposed to be able to produce up to 12 million liters of PMS.
It's a function of if or when?
For me, it's a function of if, because, they've not started with NMDPRA on the process of commissioning a refinery. That process has not begun because you have a 30 days, 60 days, 90 days that goes all before you have your final acceptance certificate issued by NMDPRA to the refinery. If that process does not start, then I don't know what you're talking about.
What was the outlook from Dangote Refinery in terms of petrol output in September?
Well,
how many liters should Nigerians expect?
Well, at 70% capacity utilization, Dangote should be able to do anywhere around 35 to maybe 38 million liters of PMS on a daily basis if they're able to ramp
1,000. 1,000
per year.
Yeah, per year.
Per day.
Per day.
If they're able to ramp up, because
yes.
right now the refinery is at 70% capacity utilization. If it's able to continue ramping up at that pace, it should be able to produce between 35 and 38 million liters per day. The question now becomes what price at which is going to deliver to the Nigerian markets.
Yeah, that's my next question. Because I was going to ask what's your outlook on what these refineries or petrol output would mean for Nigeria? What would it mean for the economy? What would it mean for ordinary Nigerians? Is this the end of fuel subsidy in Nigeria?
Well, I was just reading the annual financial statement of NNPC, and it's weird because upstream, midstream, and downstream, you see all sorts of alternative carry arrangements, modified carry agreements. It has modified carry agreements with international traders for PMS that is owing money. And also downstream, you see modified carry agreements. And you find a structure where NNPC is not able to put up capital costs. It goes on carried cost. And in some cases, it even does carry tax relief with the IOCs. I've seen it on their balance sheet. You see with Chevron Nigeria Limited, Total E&P with Mobil. So you have situations where the government has applied a carry tax relief on the IOCs for funding NNPC's capital cost. Midstream,
interesting.
You have pre-export financing contracts on the importation of petroleum products. Now, so you have a situation where there is a mismatch of value because you give crude oil, you collect PMS, which is only 43% derivative from each barrel of crude oil, and you have loans that are outstanding, which is the reason why you've seen petrol queues all over Nigeria. You have the issue of the lack of petroleum equalization fund, which is the reason why Lagos State, because it lands most of the cargoes of PMS in Nigeria, actually has the lowest official price of below 500, 600 naira per litre. In Abuja, official price for NNPC retail is 617. in parts of Northeast and Northwest, petrol retails for nearly 1,000 naira per litre. So the question is, only Lagos and Abuja enjoys that window of between 570
sort
naira
of subsidy
and 620 naira per litre.
Technically speaking. But again, my question, are we near the end of subsidy? What do you think price of petrol would be from September moving on? Or September is just the beginning, the start of a new beginning, or is the beginning of the end, in Emmanuel speaking? I don't know which
Well,
one.
considering the difficulties Nigerians are going through and the pain Nigerians are going through currently, considering that as we speak, food takes 52% of the income of the average Nigerian, energy cost takes another like 18%, so you have it anywhere around 70% gone on food and energy cost alone.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be the right time for the government to officially increase the price of petrol. But the reality on the ground is right now that if the government doesn't increase the price of petrol, you could see that the dividends that NNPC said the profit they made has already been spent in dividend that the government provisioned for, to write off the debt on subsidy on the recovery. So for me, I think the reality we have to confront is that the most reliable means of supplying Nigeria with all the PMS it needs daily is the Dangote refinery. And the government needs to do what it needs to do to provide him with the feedstock required to supply the Nigerian markets with PMS. I'm not sure he can deliver at the official price the government has set. Now, that calls into question the discussion on how are you going to apply an under-recovery on price? How are you going to apply a petroleum equalization fund?
In the case of the Dangote refinery.
Exactly.
Yes, because I'm going to ask, because are we really having a free market, as it were? Are we having a market-based petrol industry right now, or we're still going to have a quasi in which the government is still hand in hand somewhere?
Based on the provisions of PIA, NNPC retail is not supposed to control more than 30%. But you see that because of the lack of access to FX, you could see, I'll give you one example. The outstanding forwards in which Deloitte invalidated $2.4 billion.
Yes.
One particular steel company has $31 million outstanding that has not been paid because there were issues around, they say, he didn't get exceptional approval for a particular category of steel you want to import. Now, if you bring up a question like this, how do you expect marketers, for example, to be able to source FX to import, which means NNPC controls 100%. Now, if NNPC controls 100% and they're going into modified carrier agreements to tie crude oil swaps to importation of PMS, and they still cannot deliver or guarantee supply to Nigerians, it calls to question, is it really necessary to continue with petrol imports or for us to allow the Dangote refinery that has invested $20 billion to manage the market?
I'm expecting something, the Nigerians are expecting something quite different, something, a game changer to happen in September. But you're still around. You're going to come back here. When we see things move on, we'll go to visit this all over again and see where we're moving the needle. But for tonight, thank you for your time. Thank you so much. Kelvin Emmanuel, economist and public policy analyst. Have a good evening.